Senator Nelson.
I'd like to ask the commanders, in determining whether or not to prosecute, do you feel that the accused military service record should be a determining factor in whether or not to prosecute? General Dempsey, I'll start with you.
We had this conversation a little bit earlier, actually, and the question was, at what point does character enter into a decision to prosecute? And I think we were pretty clear, I thought, that that the decision to prosecute was made in the context of the overall character of service, but always in light of the crime and the evidence that supported the criminal prosecution. Character generally, in my own experience now, character generally comes into sentencing and punishment far more than it does into the decision to prosecute.
Yes. Character in the sense of a person's exemplary military record. That's what I'm talking about. So is there anybody that disagrees that a decision to prosecute could be mitigated by an exemplary record of the service member accused?
Senator, I don't believe a valorous record or a substantive record should have anything to do with a decision as to whether or not an individual should be prosecuted, number one. Number two, in 43 years, and having done this now many times, I can't think of a single instance where my SJA sat down with me and said, you know, sir, we ought to reconsider this because this Marine XYZ has a tremendous record. Not a single time.
Does anybody disagree with General Amos? Okay. Now, is it, do I understand that you all have already discussed this, that you all agree that a commanding officer can, at whatever level, cannot reverse a conviction by a military court? Is anybody that disagrees that, in other words, you would agree that a commanding, convening authority could not reverse a conviction by a military court?
Senator, I think what I can't speak for everybody on the panel, but I think what was said earlier is that we support Senator Hagel's proposal to modify Article 60, that a convening authority couldn't reverse a conviction in all except certain minor qualified offenses if those were the only ones remaining, and he or she would still retain the authority to reduce sentences for different purposes. I think that was the earlier testimony.
Could any of you speak? I guess General Welsh, could you speak to the circumstances where this has happened that Senator McCaskill has been so involved in with regard to the Air Force General?
Senator, I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for. The case was the Aviano case, but are you talking about the convening authority's actual overturning of the verdict?
Yes, in the case of General Helms.
Sir, General Helms is actually a case in Vandenberg Air Force Base in California, and General Helms' case was a case where an individual was charged with 2 counts, 2 sexual assault charges, and then some additional lesser charges. In the court, one of the sexual assaults, the principal sexual assault charge, was found to be not guilty. The perpetrator was found guilty of the second charge and the subordinate charges. General Helms, in her Article 60 review as a convening authority, felt that the court had not met the burden of proof for that, the allegation of guilt or for the finding of guilty. And so she set aside that finding and the court, and she punished that finding under a lesser charge and the subordinate findings of the court under non-judicial punishment. That's what happened.
And my question is, do you believe that a commander should have that authority to overturn the decision of a military court?
No, Senator, I completely agree with Secretary Hagel's recommended changes to Article 60.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Nelson.